There's a pocket of South Palm Springs that surprises people. Not with flash, not with nightlife, but with quiet elevation, privacy, and a very specific lifestyle fit that the right buyers instantly recognize. I'm Glen Nadeau, and in this video, we're talking about Araby Commons and Araby Cove, two neighboring communities that are often misunderstood, often overlooked, and deeply loved by the people who live there. Fair warning, this neighborhood isn't for everyone, which is exactly why it works so well for the people it's meant for. First, let's clarify that Araby Cove and Araby Commons are neighboring areas, but they offer very different living experiences. On paper, they look similar. In real life, they feel completely different. Araby Cove is known for its more bohemian, offbeat, and secluded feel. This is the more rustic, character-driven side of the area. Homes here are eclectic and often cabin-like, with some dating back to the 1920s. You'll see a mix of ranch-style homes, mid-century influences, and custom builds, many featuring stonework, large windows, pools, and layouts that embrace the natural terrain. The streets feel quieter here. The lots feel more tucked in. The energy feels creative, tranquil, and intentionally removed. People who choose Araby Cove usually value uniqueness, privacy, and terrain. This is ideal for buyers who want their home to feel like a retreat. Araby Commons, on the other hand, leans more towards the modern residential convenience. The vibe here is still quiet and peaceful, but more structured. Housing is a mix of small to medium single-family homes, apartments, condo-style residences, and building primarily constructed between 1940 and the late 1900s. Architecturally, it's more standard and approachable, less eclectic, more practical. Residents here tend to value easy access to amenities, proximity to hiking trails, lower maintenance living, and a straightforward, comfortable lifestyle. This area works especially well for retirees, part-time residents, or buyers who want mountain proximity without the rustic feel. Here's the simplest way to think about it. If you're drawn to the character, privacy, and a slightly bohemian desert escape, Araby Cove will likely speak to you. If you prefer modern conveniences, easier upkeep, and a more traditional residential feel, Araby Commons may be the better fit. Neither is better, they just serve different lifestyles. And this distinction matters because choosing the right one usually has less to do with price and more to do with how you want your days to feel. Araby Commons and Araby Cove tend to attract the buyers who are thinking long-term, not just next 2 years. Prioritizing peace, privacy, and views over nightlife. Often second home buyers and full-time resident professional, creatives, retirees, and couples who value calm over chaos. This is not a see and be seen neighborhood, it's a come home, exhale, and unplug neighborhood. Many buyers here are planning ahead, purchasing now, renting selectively if needed, letting equity build quietly, and moving in when work, life, or emotional timing aligns. The future-oriented mindset fits this area perfectly. The overall feel here is quiet, elevated, and intentionally removed from the tourist core of Palm Springs. You're on the south end of the city, tucked up against the mountains, where streets are calmer, traffic is lighter, and the neighbors value privacy. This is a car-dependent area, and that's a feature, not a flaw. People who live here want separation from crowds, not foot traffic. Here you'll see full-time residents, seasonal owners, long-term second home buyers, and very few short-term rental party properties, which means the vibe stays consistent year-round. One reason Araby Cove consistently ranks among the most sought-after neighborhoods in Palm Springs is that it doesn't feel manufactured. Homes here date back as far as the 1920s, which creates an eclectic layer mixed with architecture you don't find in many other parts of the city. You'll see everything from rustic desert cabins and ranch-style retreats to understated mid-century modern homes that feel grounded rather than flashy. Geographically, Araby Cove sits in a natural desert cove in South Palm Springs, just below the legendary Southridge estates. Once home to icons like Bob Hope, Steve McQueen, and William Holden. Even Howard Hughes owned property in the broader Araby area. That legacy matters, not because celebrity name dropping, but because it explains why this area was chosen in the first place. Privacy, terrain, and separation from the city without isolation. Today, you'll find a nice mix of mid-century ranch homes in this area, Spanish-influenced designs, contemporary custom builds, and larger lots than many central neighborhoods. Some homes date back to the 1950s and 60s, others are newer rebuilds or modern renovations. This is not a tract home feel. There's architectural variety and individuality. And unlike many Palm Springs neighborhoods, Homes here feel more tucked into the terrain, not stacked on top of each other. You're in South Palm Springs here, which adds to its sense of retreat. East Palm Canyon Drive to the north, South Araby Drive and the Palm Canyon Wash to the east, Marabella Lane and East Jacaranda Road to the south, South Barona Road and Smoke Tree Commons to the west. That geography creates a neighborhood that feels tucked away, yet you're still only minutes from downtown Palm Springs. Shopping, dining, and entertainment, hiking trails, and the nature preserves. You're also far enough away that you're not living inside it. This is a meaningful distinction, especially for buyers relocating from larger cities who want Palm Springs without the sensory overload. Here's what you might notice on a random Tuesday. It's quieter, noticeably quieter. You might hear wind in the palms throughout the day. The morning coffee flows easily, and evenings feel private and grounded. Because of the elevation, many homes enjoy mountain views, better airflow, and less street noise. One thing people don't realize until they live here is that this area feels emotionally calmer than Central Palm Springs. As of now, typical pricing has an entry point of high 800,000s to low 900,000. The mid-range is around 1.1 million to 1.4 million, and the upper end is 1.6 million plus. Depending on views, lot size, and renovations, inventory here is usually limited because owners tend to stay longer. Homes don't turn over as quickly as trendier neighborhoods, which speak to the satisfaction, not stagnation. For long-term buyers, that kind of stability matters. Palm Springs as a whole is one of the most LGBTQ+ friendly cities in the country. With nearly half the population identifying as LGBTQ+, as a gay man myself, I can honestly say that that's a game changer. In Araby Commons and Araby Cove, the LGBTQ+ presence is strong but understated. This isn't a social hub neighborhood. It's a safe, comfortable, and inclusive residential environment. This is critical. Araby Commons and Araby Cove are not ideal STR neighborhoods. Some areas have restrictions, and the overall culture leans strongly towards owner occupancy and long-term living. This is part of why the neighborhood stays peaceful. This area is primarily fee simple land and has no massive HOAs. Its mountain adjacency means occasional wind exposure as well. Those are trade-offs, and the right buyer can appreciate them. If you're planning to retire in California, or even thinking 5 to 10 years ahead, Araby Commons and Araby Cove should absolutely be on your must-see list. For many buyers, this area checks the boxes that matter most in retirement. Peaceful and quiet daily living, above average safety compared to other California neighborhoods, and diverse range of housing options, and strong long-term desirability without tourism saturation. Independent neighborhood analysis consistently points to this area as one where people settle in. That's a big reason why homes here tend to be held longer and why buyers who choose Araby rarely regret it. If your goal is to retire in Palm Springs someday, buying in a neighborhood like this earlier, renting selectively if needed, and letting equity build quietly gives you options. The home is there waiting when timing, lifestyle, and emotion finally line up. That long-range thinking is exactly why Araby Commons and Araby Cove continue to attract thoughtful buyers year after year. If you're sorting through Palm Springs neighborhoods based on how you actually want to live, not just what looks good on a map, I'm always happy to talk it through. People reach out to me every week who are thinking about buying now, relocating later, or quietly planning their next chapter. If that sounds like you, my contact information is in the description below. No pressure, just clarity when it's helpful. If you haven't yet already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more exciting changes, developments, and opportunities taking place here in Palm Springs and the Coachella Valley. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.